Welcome to the Didi Lital Show. Advice, thoughts, and stories from a married couple on cybersecurity, technology, and life in general. Now here are your hosts, Didi and Lital.
Hello and welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. I think it's the first day in like a month that it's above freezing.
Yes.
And it really feels warm outside because of that. It's, wow. I have this cabin fever of working out indoors and I need to go outside.
I recommend you go out for a run and leave the treadmill for me.
I know. Fighting over the treadmill with you, it's like the worst thing of a marriage.
Yes. At least we kicked out Leah because she wanted to compete on the
bike. She wanted the bike this morning.
She wanted the bike as well.
We sent her to the YMCA.
Yes, because she has a license and I don't want to see her in the morning.
YMCA it is. What's up?
What's up? So this is our first episode since the troll-in-chief is in office. And he's providing me with so much entertainment. This week in general was one of the most entertaining week I've ever had. I'm debating if I am doing the same thing that the mayor of Los Angeles did, of basically fiddling as the city burns down. She basically did her best impression of Nero, of kind of fiddling as the city, literally the city burns down.
Yeah. Well, she was in Nigeria.
Who cares where she was?
Yeah.
But basically she did a dumb fuck thing. But the troll in chief is providing me with so much entertainment.
What are you entertained with?
So there's first.
What about all the hearings?
Let's start with the easiest thing.
The EOing.
It's even easier. Alex asked a very smart question. He said, all these progressives, he came in, he basically destroyed progressiveness. Overnight in 26.
Canceling DI.
Canceling everything.
Saying it there are only two genders. Everything on the menu for the progressive agenda, woke agenda was kind of like...
Overnight, and the thing that is amazing that Alex said is, January 6th happened because people didn't believe that the election was there and rebelled against the progressive agenda and went and rioted in the street. And there were multiple times that people demonstrated versus these things.
Who's Alex?
A friend of it.
A colleague of mine.
Oh, okay.
Just to explain
friend
to
of the
people.
podcast.
A friend.
I think he was even on the podcast once. He's my head of data science. Very, very sharp guy. And he said, look, in Israel, when they wanted to change the legal system, people were in the streets.
They're still in the streets every week.
500,000 people, which is in US terms is 30-something million people were in the streets every weekend, day in, day out. And here, basically somebody destroyed the whole woke agenda.
With a Sharpie. And even in hyper-progressive Boston, I don't see a single demonstrator. Where are people? They're still... They're in trauma. At home, watching Netflix.
Well, they should grow up here.
Or maybe watching, what's her name, your friend, Rachel Maddow.
Yes.
Maybe.
So, maybe. But you hear Rachel Maddow and all these guys going fascist.
You're saying if they really cared about all those things, they should have went out, demonstrate stuff instead of just trolling the internet, whining. If all those agendas are critical, important, go demonstrate.
There were more demonstrations in Boston to fire Mayo, the coach of the Patriots, and now to fire Sweeney, the guy that is letting the Bruins burn, than there are about the canceling DEI. So this is something we should ask.
It's telling. I think because it wasn't a majority of the people that supported those agendas. It was a very small set of people, but with effective, cancel culture, with effective kind of, you cannot say anything against because you're racist. Everybody were just quiet about it. came the troll, wiped it down. The majority is
Relieved.
yeah, maybe they don't care. I think there are very, very few that care about it. And even AOC will just do a TikTok video. Well,
Yes.
TikTok is still out there. If
Yeah.
not,
Yeah. By the way,
but on canceling TikTok is
TikTok was
something-
canceled for 6 hours,
yeah.
and then
People
it came back.
But even that, nobody went and demonstrated
Nobody
in the
cared.
streets for like the First Amendment right or whatever, for taking the right for them to dance on TikTok.
Yep.
Like, who cares?
Yes.
Take it out, like put the algorithm in freaking YouTube. And I mean, guys, all this debate about freedom of speech and TikTok and stuff, it's a platform and an algorithm that you like. The algorithm, the platform can be used somewhere else. I just don't understand the big deal. Like, if everybody think it's a national security problem, whether it is or not, just take it out. Do the same algorithm that everybody likes for some reason. I don't know. I'm not a Gen Z or Alpha, so I don't get it, and I don't have TikTok. But what is the problem? Like, the whole thing is basically how many people use it. I would say all the people that have TikTok already have Zuckerberg's Meta stuff installed. They just like the algorithm less. So, Mr. Zuckerberg, why don't you use a similar algorithm? Just mock up whatever it is. Or it is that people like the CCP propaganda that you cannot duplicate, I guess.
Yeah. Well, this is the interesting thing.
Like, I don't
That
get it. Seriously.
if it's a security problem, why is it still here? And if it's
I mean, they gave it 75 days, additional days to get a deal done. I don't
Whatever.
know. I think Trump don't want Gen Zers to hate him. He has his kid is like that age, and he told him Gen Zers cares about TikTok.
no, I think the main
And
thing
he likes a deal.
he wants a deal.
the deal.
He wants to make a deal.
That's his kind of nature. If
Mm-hmm.
we can get another 75 more days and we'll find a deal and we keep money in the US, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I think it's clear. The whole thing about TikTok is people, how many users it has and the time they spend on it and how to monetize it. It can go to anyone. But the CCP don't want it to go to anyone because they keep it as a malware, so that's fine.
Yep.
So I don't think there's going to be a deal. Do you think there's going to be a deal?
I don't know. I don't care. I'm just saying that it's a.
We do care about deal in the Middle East. If that chief deal officer.
That part, the whole. So I think
That's another trolling.
that's another trolling. So
my
let's start with the main thing. I think that remember that I told you nobody resisted him. So basically, he went off and deported a shitload of people. When Colombia didn't want to receive the deportees, he basically said, you get 25% tariffs.
And it's going to
We're
escalate to 50 and bye-bye.
And bye-bye.
the night after it was over, and I don't know, the
Yes.
prime minister, president,
Yes.
whatever.
Dr. Phil goes around with the deportees with the ICE team and basically...
I didn't see that. Okay.
It's all over the internet. Basically, a whole bunch of celebrities are attaching themselves to the deporting action. And Trump was so happy.
Did Meghan Merkel want to that?
I-
Because she has a tendency of putting herself in injecting herself in every situation. She came to the LA fire and to help.
Well, she is a
Being
princess.
herself.
No, she's a princess, no?
She's a kicked out princess.
It doesn't matter.
And I think she's being divorced. They're getting a divorce or something.
They are getting a divorce?
Did you hear about the rumors about the Obamas getting a divorce and him dating Jennifer Aniston? This is all over the internet. Whatever conspiracy.
I don't follow this.
Yes, they're getting a divorce. Potentially both.
Potentially both.
Meghan and Prince Harry and the Obamas.
Can you reverse being a princess? I think it's an unreversible.
I think it was already reversed. Like they left all the crown jewels they had.
So if there's any Brit listeners, please.
We have no idea.
We have no idea what we're talking about. Unlike other stuff that we have no idea what we're talking about.
There you go. The
Yes.
Mirror. I mean, a very legit source of the knowledge. It's,
Yes.
the Daily Mail.
Yes.
they divorce rumor or what? Taking a toll on the marriage. Well,
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
if you're divorcing, it does take a toll on your marriage.
Yes.
Literally, especially with them, it takes a big toll, I assume. But
She'll have to go back to Suits. There is a new version of Suits, so she can go back to Suits.
if Jennifer Aniston is dating Barack Obama, it's so weird.
Why?
Like, I don't know. Well, maybe it's me. I prefer Brad Pitt.
Yeah. Well, don't forget that Brad Pitt is about 2 feet shorter than Barack Obama.
Who cares? But he's Brad Pitt. Like, would you rather date Brad Pitt or a former president?
Tom Brady. The right answer is always Tom
Wow.
Brady.
Do you think Giselle would ever date Barack Obama? But
No.
she's married now.
No, she likes karate instructors.
All right. We're kind of like okay,
No, we're having fun.
We're
The
having
whole
fun,
idea-
yeah.
the whole
Today
idea-
is like rambling. day, yeah.
This is the news. So this
Yeah,
episode,
that's like it has become so interesting finally and fun. Like
Yes.
it was gloom and doom. I think that is the thing about like Republicans. They're fun.
they're fun
Like
and they're better looking.
Oh,
Pete Hegseth, whatever his name is,
oh yes.
is probably the best looking.
Oh my God. Yes.
Whatever we call him, the Secretary of Defense,
Ever.
ever.
Yeah.
And he looks like a real soldier.
I
Unlike
don't know.
Lloyd,
He looks like I don't know.
a GI Joe.
He's a god.
He looks like a GI Joe.
He
If you
looks
look
like
at
a
the
Greek-
if you look
Greek god.
if you look
So
at the
fine
GI
looking.
Joe mannequin, that's how he looks
Seriously,
like.
I don't know anything about him, his capabilities, and his fit for the role, but oh my God, he's handsome.
As
he
I
has
said.
like 10,000 kids.
Doesn't matter.
I don't know. Well, for the right reason. If you look like that, you should.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
So he still has a 6-pack. He over drinks. That makes him. If he's able to drink like a sailor, and do the
and do the other things sailors do.
And do the
have,
other thing that
kids
sailors
all over
do.
the place.
that just means that he's fit for the job. That just means that
That is the death of DEI.
Yes.
The fact that we can just say it out loud. There you go.
Yes.
Look at the guy. Like,
Exactly.
tattooed. Wow. Yeah. I mean, he's badass. Like, this is a guy Putin would appreciate.
yes.
Not Lloyd Austin or whatever we had.
Lloyd Austin, the fact that he was absentee during the biggest crisis of the 21st century, there was a war in Ukraine, a war in Gaza, a war against Iraq, a war against Iran.
The
and
Afghanistan, everything
the
started with the way they
escaped from Afghanistan.
and
Yeah.
not taking any responsibility for it.
Yeah, whatever. So
Yeah. So, you replace Lloyd Austin with badass this dude.
Yes.
All I care about is Putin having some appreciation.
And the Chinese. Anyways,
Yeah.
I think this has been
Fashion is back.
yes.
Good-looking women are back. I'm kind of like overthinking my wardrobe, and should I reduce the Lululemons and go back to good-looking clothing?
My balls will never go back from Lululemon sweatpants. My balls have never been this liberated. The only thing that makes me even consider wear anything that is not Lululemon pants is all the salt on the ground right now, because it marks them, and I like them the way they are. So
I think it goes.
I don't
away
care.
with
I'm
just
sticking with the
laundry.
jeans, with the fleece line jeans for the walking outside when I do the walks. But besides that, Lululemon, Didi liberated balls.
Okay. So AI is also part of the news.
No. We didn't finish the point about the deporter in chief. As everybody was celebrating the deportation, Trump was so happy with deporting from here,
From Boston.
from Boston, from every place, bringing Mayor Wu to hearing in the Senate. He got so happy. He said, "You know what? Let me deport a whole bunch of people from Gaza too." So he's so excited that it works, and nobody's telling
It's
him
not
no.
deportation. He's talking about temporary relocation while him, chief real estate, rebuilds.
Yeah.
He's like, I can see him like looking at the way Gaza looks like, and he's like, oh, we will build here Trump Towers or whatever, and it will take 10 years, so let's relocate. So he looks at it as a deal. We'll move the population. Like he moves people. Like you read his book, The Art of the Deal, and he talks about like all the deals how he got the Trump Tower, the Grand Hyatt, and like it's like the way he thinks is a real estate broker. For him, it's a real estate problem. You need to move the people while you rebuild, and in the meantime,
So, and the funniest thing is we discovered that the major tyrant of Iran watches Golden Girls. You know how we discovered that? The Greenland thing.
We should bring it. I don't know. Can you look, producer Dave, for Golden Girls Greenland Palestinians?
So I forget which one of them decided that in Golden Girls, in an episode like from the 80s, that the way to solve the Middle Eastern conflict, the Middle Eastern conflict is to move the Palestinians to Greenland.
So apparently, I am sure, I'm 100% sure that Trump was watching Golden Girls. It fits. I'm sure he did.
This is like insanity. But the fact that the chief dictator in Iran thinks that the way to solve the problem is to move the Israelis to Greenland.
At 2 a.m, waiting for George to come home, I called a radio talk show. I gave them the solution to the crisis in the Middle East.
Giving the Palestinians Greenland? You heard it? I didn't know that was you. You were great.
Yes.
Giving the Palestinians Greenland?
It's a big place. Nobody uses it.
You would take a desert people and put them in the ice and snow?
With the proper clothes, they'll be fine.
There you go. That world peace can come with Trump taking...
People taking advice from Golden Girls.
I'm sure he saw this episode.
It was the great Rita Moreno and guest appearance there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yes.
It's like all those episodes of The Simpsons, kind of seeing the future, predicting future events.
President Donald Trump.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
They predicted everything. Everything.
That thing,
apparently Golden Girls predicted.
That thing is insanity, but it is providing us with tons of entertainment.
That's life. Life is like pulp culture on steroids these days. It's like you have Chief Troll in government, and he's like bringing The Apprentice to life.
Yes, and Melania.
You're fired.
And Melania decided to bring Liu Kang back to. Doesn't her hat, producer Dave, remind you of the?
She looked amazing.
Of the guy from Mortal Kombat.
Don't say anything. That hat was so classy.
That hat reminds me of Liu Kang from.
Who are we talking about? Sorry.
Melania, the hat from the
inauguration.
From inauguration, yeah.
From the inauguration.
The hat was beautiful. She was beautiful. This woman is so classy. I don't know. Brianna Wu already said it. I don't know how come she is not a gay symbol already, an icon. She should. Guys, she's so fashionable. She's so beautiful. Don't say anything.
I don't know how she survived those shoes for so long.
Yeah.
Those shoes. See, I told you. Mortal Kombat.
She is.
You have to trust me. I am a nerd.
Supermodel. Of course, she knows how to walk on these shoes. Well, AI.
So I'll start with Jon Stewart quote.
Look, let's start first with this agreement that the agreement that Trump signed with the Saudis and SoftBank, with investing billions, hundreds of billions or trillions of dollars, I don't know, for like investing in US building AI, GPUs, all in the news. Everybody's so happy. There's a lot of EOs coming around deregulating AI, deregulating crypto, all this thing. And then
China.
the other trolls come in the room.
Yes.
That is amazing.
Yes. So
The celebration is kind of over when
the stock market lost over $1 trillion, just to give you a sense.
in a day.
In a day. Somebody, by the way, somebody made a shitload of money out of this because if somebody predicted this and invested before the
Shorted
Nvidia for a day,
I'm sure.
Somebody made a shitload of money. Somebody needs to look at who made the money out of that.
China. The Chinese government. for sure.
China.
So we all saw the news with DeepSeek, them launching an AI tool, LLM tool, which to their claims, they used less than $6 million worth of GPUs
To
train, versus we all know that all the mega companies doing AI nowadays are asking for crazy investment in GPUs. This what drives NVIDIA to the roof. And, everybody talks about the need for additional energy, building nuclear power facilities so that drove the market down, because if indeed you can train a model and have a model as robust and probably, from what we read and heard, more robust than ChatGPT, OpenAI, with such low GPU consumption, that's a game changer.
Yes.
So it's like the whole mindset shift from invest. Now, oh my God, this is cheap. So now come with Jon Stewart and what he said.
So Jon Stewart said, this week we were really, really surprised.
Yeah, shocked.
Apparently China can build stuff cheaper and faster than we do. What a shocker.
Never happened before.
Never happened before. About anything.
Yeah.
Anything. Not like the electric cars.
Yeah.
Or the keychains. Or the or the Blackberries. Or the phones. Or
your t-shirt.
Or my t-shirt.
Everything. So first, I want to say, I think there is a huge level of cyclops going on. I don't know if they invested $6 million or they basically used, who knows, whatever. Don't believe what you read, don't believe what you say. It's CCP propaganda here. And they managed to drive the whole market down significantly and ruin Mr. Trump's party in the market.
No.
They basically completely deleted all the gains since Trump
all those recovered 24 hours later.
Okay.
And especially the thing that really was cool, you know what stock didn't go down during this whole shebang?
I don't know, AWS?
Apple.
Apple
didn't go down. Amazon went down very marginally.
Okay.
Very marginally.
Why what's the explanation for Apple not losing?
Very simple. Somebody wanted to take the money out of one stock and they wanted to put it in some other stock.
So they just shifted it from GPUs to
other hardware.
just consumer.
Yes. By the way, I never believe in hardware companies. One company excluded because I'm seriously invested in their stock, Cisco.
Yeah, you're already. So I want to give my take, and then we can take it to the security side of things and stuff. I think in the long run, this is the right correction to the market. The reality is, and we've been through those waves, the internet in the late 90s and everything, like everything, technology start with, it's heavy, it's big, it's expensive like hell. And you're thinking, oh my God, it's going to go up, 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 up. The reality is, and Cisco is a great example of this. Cisco was built, in the internet era. And people thought we will need endless networking and we will And at a certain point, they were going up, and the prices were super expensive. And if you wanted to build data centers, they were huge, and you needed a bunch of hardware and blah, 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 blah. And then, it stagnated over time. Technology came and, made your consumption way more effective. And over time, prices dropped and competition came. Chinese competition came to Cisco, and, routers are cheap now and they're commodities. So I
Switches.
think... Switches, sorry. Yeah. Routers, switches, whatever. Yeah, I'm blonde, if you didn't see. So at the end of the day, the internet is commoditized. AI is going to be commoditized. We're just accelerating it, whether this is true or it's not going to be that GPUs will cost that much. NVIDIA will have, a lot of competition. People will disrupt the model, and the model will be more efficient, and there'll be software to kind of consume it in a better way. That's all the ways we've seen data centers
Intel.
Became cloud.
Like Intel, NVIDIA disrupted Intel.
Yeah, exactly. So it is probably an quick acceleration of that, whether it's true, a hiccup. But in the long run, for sure, NVIDIA is not going to stay as expensive as it is. And, there's going to be commoditization of GPUs because everybody needs it everywhere. And
also
disruption will come in.
Also in NVIDIA's case, in reality, they sell to 3 buyers. Just 3 buyers. Amazon, Google, Microsoft. Everybody else is everybody else. But in reality, they're selling it to Microsoft, Google, and
the big data center.
And very much like with Intel, that ARM gave them an opportunity to disrupt Intel. Intel had to drop the prices because Intel used to grab them by the short and curlies and made a shitload of money, and then not. Because ARM was an alternative. An alternative will come along.
And it's coming from China, as we know it.
That I don't know, but mainly because one of the main things that everybody was starting to ask as soon as DeepSeek went live is it sending the outcomes of your questions to China?
Well, I think Wiz already did 2 days ago. They released a report. I think they found 2 instances, at least 2 instances, where they could find the complete logs of thousands of chats with DeepSeek and API calls and some code and some other stuff. So definitely some of the databases are not well secured. It's open to everyone to go grab. Might be by design, might be that this is how it is. It's an early stage startup and they didn't think about it. Might be that that's exactly what the Chinese are looking for. I would not go and upload my company documents to this startup anytime soon. And I think we've seen the day after, all large companies came with big warning for the employees not to come anywhere near this, right?
Yep.
You said something about AWS updating the...
So AWS is actually doing something very interesting.
Okay.
Because you can run it in SageMaker. You can run it in SageMaker, but they give you a nice little warning that says, dude, that's on you. If you lose your data, if you lose your stuff, if the model goes anywhere, that's not on us. Rather than take the open source and have to build it, they give you a SageMaker machine that runs it. But they came out with warnings for their internal people not to use it. We came out with the internal warnings for us not to use it. Basically, everybody...
Are you filtering it?
No,
did you put
the idea is not even that, because...
But you can say people may not read
You're not thinking about you're not
voices.
thinking about this right, because they made it also open source and open weight, which means that Dave tomorrow morning can download the code, stick it on a bunch of AWS resources, and run it as Dave search. Nothing prevents him to do that. That's the thing that is the real challenge here. It's not the
that you can white label.
you can you can white label
use the API.
You can white label their stuff tomorrow morning and do whatever you want. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that came out with a lot of.
So you can build tons of like mini agents, sell it as like an app that has a chatbot in it.
So running this with their cloud doesn't mean anything. It's more of a what happens when you run it on your cloud. And there's a lot of resistance from a lot of legal departments to not do this. And I'm also hesitant about some of these things because one of the things that Brianna Wu basically mentioned is that we don't know, and this comes from a lot of the understanding or lack of understanding of models, is it actually good? Is it actually good for something specific? This is the lack of understanding of how exactly AI models work. If you remember when we were sitting in Itamar's pool, Itamar is a good friend of ours who's also now I think basically head of AI of Red Hat. He said that they understand how the code works, but how the model, after it's trained, how it reacts.
It's like the first time that the software does its own thing and you're not 100% sure
You're always
what it does.
So nobody's 100% sure about anything. As somebody that wrote Perl code and Python code, trust me, there's my Python code that sits in places when people look at it and say, what the fuck he was thinking? So trust me, most people don't understand what code does. So it's not very interesting when the code rewrites itself, that the people kind of have no clue of what it does. So this is a very interesting thing to think about when we think of DeepSeek and how it will change a lot of the security landscape. The thing that is important to talk about in terms of the security landscape is now it is driving the core questions with regards to AI. If I load into DeepSeek my HR files to give me a report, what does that mean? Where would the data?
The CCP has your HR files probably.
It is possible.
Maybe it's not the problem. Maybe it's the whole internet has it because it's open.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. These are the core questions that now.
To which of the AI models would you upload your HR files these days?
That's a very good question. That's a very, very, very...
you, with everything you know these days, you want to do some analysis. Which service would you go with? Would you go with OpenAI, Microsoft? Would you upload it to Gemini? Would you do Anthropic Claude, which is supposed to be kind of like not going to somebody's cloud, staying with you, supposedly?
I don't know. I have to say that there's...
people want to use it because the productivity is amazing. So it's out there. My team is using both ChatGPT, Claude every day.
So from my perspective, there's a big difference. So if I write an email and I ask Gemini to help me fix the email, the grammar,
yeah, and make it sound more appealing or whatever.
Yes, and basically.
So you think that's fine because the email is plain vanilla, and you have.
And it's already sitting on Google's cloud that is read by a billion different people.
Yeah, sure.
When I send my HR data into OpenAI and my HR data sits in Workday to begin with, that means that AWS already owns it. Or Microsoft already owns it. I don't remember right now off the top of my head where Workday is hosted. But wherever Workday,
I'm sure they're on AWS. Fine.
No, not sure. But there's a lot of companies that work on.
But that's a different
Microsoft.
level, right? Because if somebody, there is the level of popping Workday or popping AWS. That's one thing. AI brings another layer of complexity of it's not just. Can somebody prompt the model to give them back whatever you uploaded, your HR system, like the Cisco HR system or whatever, Ort HR system or company Y? Because, so not just hacking into the cloud, into your Workday instance, but just prompting it to, we don't know what the model will do, right? That's the thing.
We kind of do. So one of the things that
a lot of the AI security companies that want to put guardrails so that even though you uploaded something, it's not going to go in and somebody will be able to get it out through that.
So there's a lot of games we've been playing, Oded and I, around. So our AI, as part of the Duo AI stuff, it's doing some really cool stuff. I can ask it where did Didi log in from the last couple of days, who's logging in from the Boston office. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we've been doing that is
it's basically the way to interact with the logs you already have in Duo.
Exactly. So that stuff already sits in the same place that our logs
But
sit.
I'm sure then the model and everything is local and kind of like saved within the Duo.
But it means
it's not a big aggregate of ChatGPT.
It's
OpenAI.
my core point is that as long as you stick with wherever your data is, it's not a big deal. The real problem starts when there's a disconnect between where you host your data, your core data, and where you host the model. That's why I'm a really big believer in kind of sticking to.
So you're saying if HR Workday, and we don't know, but let's assume is connected to AWS,
Use Bedrock.
Run the model over there,
Through
so
Bedrock
you keep it
and
over
AWS.
there.
Exactly.
So you keep it local.
Yep.
Okay, that's interesting. Still, you want to have probably all kinds of guardrails. Like I think people are worried about another user of AI in a different department inside your company getting access to that, and that's kind of like permissions. And,
so here's another thing that people don't think about, that a lot of the time that what I like to do in terms of AI is basically API reinterpretation. Most of the systems that we have that are controlled and are governed have APIs. It's not re-indexing the doc and be able to answer the questions. Is to know, think of this as like a library. Think of where the data is. And knowing where the data is and be able to retrieve it in a smart way sometimes is a lot smarter, because most of the time we have access to think of, I know who Lital is. I know what her permissions are in the system. Can she, in general, if the system was not AI'd, have access to this API call? As long as they do these things, we're good.
So if Lital has access to it, she can also write a prompt and actually get an answer regarding this data. Makes sense.
Exactly.
I mean, that's why there's a lot of startups coming in those kind of capabilities.
Exactly. And that's why I don't like the idea of shipping the questions or the data to places that you don't know. They basically don't break the boundaries.
Okay. Well, I think we're at time.
We are at time.
We covered a lot of ground here, from kind of the reality of funny days, fun news, and all the way to touching a little bit about security in Gen AI and DeepSeek. So we hope you liked and enjoyed the episode. We're a weekly podcast. The Didi and Lital show is going to be here next week. If you want to be in the show, send a note on LinkedIn to me or Didi. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Right.